Man, seriously though, there's nobody that I would rather do this with, because I've watched every one of, or I've seen all the mock drafts, and I read each one. And let me ask you a question. When you read through others, and I haven't posted a ton of them, not, that mine are any better or worse than others, but when you look and you go, yep, every time. We were talking this earlier. How many times the Patriots, Lucas Van Ness? You can't not do it. And maybe we'll get past that. I don't know whose pick he will be. He will be yours. So you have the option to do whatever you want.
Well, I'm gonna let everybody know what happens at 14 then.
Take him home. Sorry, Lucas, and if you're watching this, by the way, I don't know how you got here, but you might as well get cozy up in New England. You're going to be living there. You're used to it. I was pretty cold, so it'll be. I mean, God, you'll have I think a role from pretty much day one. There's no doubt about that. They need edge rushers. Yep. But Joe, do you want to? I'm going to say we skip past one, and I'm just going to go ahead and start this old draft. We're going to go. Do you want to trade? I mean, this Will Levis talk, right? We trade him to the Colts. We get the Panthers, get all the trades. They give away get the trades back that they gave away. What's up with that talk? Is that the case? Just what the
I think that's just everybody like doing their last minute like draft day like movie moment. And like, oh, maybe we could do something crazy if we just put this news out there, and it's not going to happen. Like my thing with Will Levis, he couldn't get the starting job in Penn State. Penn State, yeah. I can roll up at Penn State and be one of the 3 quarterbacks. So it's just, I don't understand it. I'm not there for it. I think he's tightly wound when he throws, and that scares the hell out of me. I think he's almost too muscular, like a Tim Tebow in a sense. So it's just, no, that's not happening. This is just everybody trying to get clicks on every site and who's dropping what from their source that they can't name. And
it's exactly.
Yeah, it's just the week of the draft. That's all it is.
So the question is, how does that then filter into like actual betting windows? That's the thing that concerns me. And maybe I haven't validated that yet, but did it actually make a change? I mean, what's the odds that have moved that I've only heard rumors about? I have been tied up, so I haven't had a chance to double check. Is that just, bullshit that I'm reading or seeing, or is that legit?
No, I saw he went from like 4,000 to 400 at one point, like plus 4,000 to plus 400. And even then, like people were like, oh, I'm going to bet it. And I just kind of want to like look at them and be like, but it's plus 400. I get that, like the little like, oh, if you put down 5, you win this type thing. And it looks so beautiful, but it's still a plus 400. Like Bryce Young is the best playmaker outside of Anthony Richardson, but he's got his own little issues. Yeah, but exactly. Bryce Young has the best chance of being a franchise quarterback who could be a playmaker, who can create. His only issue is that he's a little short, and that's been worked around before. So if it's the right coaching staff, and I do think they have the right people in charge, I think they'll be okay. As long as he stays healthy. He's little, so I don't want him to get popped.
No, and that goes for about, I mean, that's still controlled by 30 other NFL quarterbacks that with health comes potential success. And so, it's you plus, I mean, come on, you had to, when you made that move, if you didn't already have his name circled, get out. That to me is just, negligence. But number 2, realistically, I think is one of those, Nick Caserio as a GM role. You're looking and you're thinking, damn it, of all the years to not have a legit number 2 quarterback in the draft that people will just, in my opinion, and maybe, we haven't had a chance. Is this a locked and loaded, CJ Stroud? Do you think they just say, screw it, we're comfortable with one of the next quarterbacks and we'll take the best edge rusher?
This is a tough one for me because, well, first off, let's thank Lovie Smith for screwing it all up for them and winning that last game, moving them to 2. But for me, I look at like how Lovie Smith got fired in a year and how these coaches are going in and out in Houston. And I look at their future capital and I'm like, man, if they go with an edge defense player, like a pass rusher of sorts, and then maybe use that future capital to hop back in for a hooker, or if Anthony Richardson falls a little or something like that, they have a lot of capital to play with. So for me, if I'm the coach, if I'm the GM, I'm taking the safer pick in Will Anderson.
Right.
I'm getting the really good guy, like pass rusher. He's got this elite first step, and something I try to explain to people, I call it the 3-step rule. Everybody else calls it something different, but like whoever takes the first step and then the second step from offensive line and defensive line, whoever gets that third step in that battle usually wins that battle. And because his first step is so quick and crazy, he gets off that line like he's a pass catcher. So he gets to that third step before the offensive lineman does more often than not. I love that. I know people are kind of bored with Will Anderson. He's kind of like the bland name right now. Tyree Wilson's the better athlete. Jalen Carter's, the best player. There's so many more storylines, but the teams don't care about storylines. They care about players that are going to play, and this dude plays every snap, every single snap, and he's dominant. So I think you go safe here and you go with Will Anderson.
And I would agree. They lose Okunrakwo already, so there's already a hole on the edge. They need somebody that can step in. And realistically, as much as I love Jalen Carter, the last thing you need is to have any type of just chatter about taking a play off, doesn't play hard. And I know those are just, you always try to find a negative, but I agree with you. I think that Houston, if they're not sold on CJ Stroud, which it appears that it doesn't sound like they're either or. I don't have any idea which way anybody is realistically. It's the as Chris Ballard said, it's the time of lies right now, and no one knows what's going on. And I would agree. I think Will Anderson's been the best prospect, the safest defensive prospect, at least on the edge in the draft. Serves Houston well. Later on, as you get to pick 12, they could still, you touched on a name earlier. I think I heard you say Hendon Hooker, and there's an opportunity depending upon what really happens and how crazy it could get. He could be sitting there later on and they might be able to trade down from 12. Well, I guess we'll get there. We'll discuss some potential trades real quick before I hit the Will Anderson button. Is there a team that you could see moving up to 2 that would have an inkling to take? Would it be just a quarterback, or do you think there's one of these offensive or defensive players that someone would be willing to trade up to get?
I don't think anybody trades up for a defensive player. If it would be anybody, in my opinion, it would be the Lions or Seahawks with the extra capital for Jalen Carter. That's because then they could jump over Arizona and get the guy they want. But I have done a couple mocks. And I blame Thor Nystrom from FantasyPros for this because he got it stuck in my head. But like the Vikings jumping all the way up for their future quarterback and whoever they want, most likely CJ Stroud, in my opinion. But I don't see it happening. I think Houston takes the pick here. I think Houston knows they have 12. I think Houston remembers they have 2 firsts next year. They have a lot of capital. They could do a lot of different things. And unless somebody comes with a deal, because everybody could be bought. So if they come with a stupid deal, then they take it, they back up. They know they're at least a year or 2 before even competing. So it all depends on the trade price, but I don't see it.
I don't either. And so Will Anderson is our pick at 2. I can't beat that. And it puts Arizona on the clock. And Arizona is to me, I don't know if I'm not sure what's cringier to me. Is the idea of how they're going to approach this draft without the knowledge of what they're going to do with Kyler, D-Hop, etc., or thinking that I want to mock Jalen Carter to a Jonathan Gannon offense and have to see him interact with him and watch Gannon do the pew, 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 and the most uncomfortable badass dude in Jalen Carter meeting the biggest nerd possible in the coaching staff and watch that interaction. I want to draft Carter strictly for that, for me and you, entertainment purposes, to watch just that conversation. But I don't think that this is the team to me that if there was a trade and a team wanted to move up ahead of Indy with, I know your take on Will Levis, but at this point it could be the CJ Stroud conversation, would make a lot of sense. And that could be, it could be the Raiders. It could be the Titans. It could be, could be the Patriots. There's so many different teams that could potentially move up that would shock us.
What I've done a couple times, and because they just sold the team, get a big splash, get the quarterback that was his Cam Newton with the new offensive coordinator who's supposed to be a genius at this. I wouldn't be shocked if Washington moved up to get Anthony Richardson, to jump the Colts with Shane Steichen for Anthony Richardson.
I wouldn't be shocked. No. And I think that that's something, not a you heard it here first type scenario, but I definitely think that you're onto something there. And I don't think that Arizona realistically is probably going to like just completely hold the bag in a trade like that. I think that might be a move. This might be one of those situations where I think they're just willing to gain a couple extra, maybe another third. And again, the PFF has ruined my whole trade value because you and I joked about it. I can throw in a conditional 7th round. I can move up to the number 2 spot from 28 somehow, and it's golden. But let's go with Jalen Carter. Let's go with the most dynamic.
I like it.
You start and you build. And if it's a rebuild, not that it's a rebuild, but you're building from the middle, the inside out. And if it's not, you do the one thing that they need is someone that can, not only stop the run, but also penetrate and get to the quarterback. So Jalen Carter, pew, pew, pew.
And I like that because as much as I don't like Jonathan Gannon, he comes from the Eagles organization and we build from the inside out. So the theme is there,
And I did want to apologize. I did not do this intentionally with my Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey over my shoulder. With you,
I saw it.
I know you did. And the respect that you have and we have for each other. I wanted to take it down, but it was too much work. And I figured, and that was.
Listen, I'm wearing red. It's I'll say it's for the Phillies. I have no hate on the Chiefs. I have hate on that holding call. And that's all I'll say.
You have every right. And I would tell you, I hate any game that doesn't allow the players to win and or lose the game. And I would take that Super Bowl 1,000 times over 1,000. And from a little quick background, my daughter's boyfriend and his buddies are all huge Eagles fans. Not as big as you, of course, but really, really big fans. And I respect the hell out of them. They've come over since game 1 when I first met them. And we watch about every game this weekend, both the Eagles and the Chiefs. I rooted on for the Eagles. They rooted on for the Chiefs. And we collectively met in the Super Bowl. They came over and watched. Very unhappy, as you could imagine. But at the same time, it was a wonderful experience. And I got a lot of respect for both organizations. How much respect do we have for the Indianapolis Colts in terms of what I don't want to say what the hell are they going to do, but this is another one that quarterback, was an obvious need. The Will Levis talk, blah, 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 blah. Shane Steichen said he has 17 players with the first round grade. I don't know if that is him just saying, yeah, come on up, make us an offer and we can grab somebody we like, just coach speak. You're on the clock with the Indianapolis Colts.
Listen, for me,
right?
No. For me, It's not CJ. For me, you have Shane Steichen, just did everything he did with Jalen Hurts. He knows how to play that like RPO, that running style quarterback, that Konami code in a sense, but he knows what he's doing with that setup. He's shown that. We saw what came from that. I draft Anthony Richardson, and I literally call him if I'm the Colts, and I'm like, look, we signed Gardner Minshew for a reason because he knows Shane's offense. You have to learn to throw the ball better. Almost like he reminds me a little of Josh Allen, where Josh Allen couldn't hit the side of like a barn when he first came out. Yeah. But he had all these tools and stuff. Like that's where we're at right now. And with the right coaching, we could get where Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are now. And I think that same projection could happen. Like a couple of games at the end of the season, like Jalen had, then an okay season next year, but mostly running. And then again, this year you see like plays popping off for Jalen. I think that could come for Anthony Richardson. They have some time. Like I don't think the Colts are going to compete for real. Like, yes, the division is very soft, but they're not going to compete in the playoffs. There's way too many great quarterbacks and teams in the AFC. You have to go for broke here, in my opinion. Like, CJ Stroud could be a good quarterback. Anthony Richardson could be an amazing quarterback. And in 2-3 years, like we're kind of seeing almost with Malik Willis right now, if he ain't it, he ain't it. You just move forward and go again. And we know that their owner is a little crazy, so if that happens, he'll go forward and do it again, or he'll try to sign somebody, or like they'll keep trying. I think the go for broke method has to be where they go though, because they went the Matt Ryan, the Phillip Rivers, these guys are good, but they're not great anymore route. They went the safe route, and the safe route won them nothing. So I think they're burned by that, and it's time to go for broke.
Do you think there's a team out there that within a few spots, now that limits it, of course, that limits it to, say, Seattle, Detroit, Vegas, and maybe Tennessee, that might want to even move up and then feel comfortable enough moving down to take Richardson and gaining some equity? Or do you just assume we're going to take Anthony Richardson here? But how shocked would you be if they roll the dice? You think they're that in love with Richardson, or do you think the idea just is they're there, take it, don't even try to be greedy?
I think they shouldn't be greedy, but teams like the Seahawks, the Lions, they have the extra capital. They could play around a little bit more with it, and especially the Lions. Like, I don't know why that's sitting with me so well, but I end up catching myself sometimes trading the third pick to the Atlanta Falcons for the Atlanta Falcons to get Anthony Richardson, because all this Lamar talk, we're looking kind of at the same thing, but a guy who's built like a tight end, so that injury issue that everybody's worried about probably isn't there. Then you get to see what you have in Desmond Ridder, which I don't think he is it, but that's a whole nother podcast probably.
Yeah, no.
But I'm not interested in Desmond Ridder to be my future. Again, he's a good quarterback. I have a chance at an elite quarterback here. So I can actually see the Falcons doing it, maybe the Titans, but if I'm the Colts, I'm staying put. I need a quarterback. I need a young quarterback. Gardner Minshew is a fun story and everything like that, but he's a bridge. He's a fill gap.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go Anthony Richardson. I think that it is an opportunity to develop along with some elite playmakers as well. The offensive line can be addressed. The next pick that they have at 35, early on. So not too overly concerned. Seattle, though, is one that for me, I want to believe that they are not even considering a quarterback at this situation. A lot of talk with CJ Stroud being there at 5 is something they didn't envision. I've heard many, pundits discuss the idea that when he's sitting in your lap, it's really hard to not believe that maybe this isn't the Geno Smith that we came to see last year. It's not unlikely that they could just say, let's grab that, quarterback of the future. But my question would be just why? Why would you do that? He didn't do anything short of he was as accurate as you could ever ask for. He led the offense in everything you could want. And you have an opportunity right now, for me at least, to improve in one of 3 different areas. And this is where, I'd like to have a little conversation with you. Do you want to start, like, if I'm picking, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at edge, and I'm probably going to focus and look at Tyree Wilson. I think I've been swayed a little bit by the upside talk, 6'5", long arms, just amazing, super athletic. Yeah. There's no doubt. And I think the upside there they got good production from Nwosu. They have, they hit really well at corner last year, so they don't have to worry about as much in the secondary, even though I will tell you, if you can throw Tariq Woolen and someone like Christian Gonzalez in the secondary, that's dangerous. That's extremely dangerous. But what do you think? The NFC West doesn't really scare me outside of San Francisco. And I'm thinking you need to, slow the run down and get to the quarterback. And that's go ahead.
Listen, I love everything you're saying here. I don't think it's CJ Stroud, because under pressure, he struggles. And you have the 49ers twice a year with that. So right there just kind of shuts me off for that one. But they love these athletic, freaky type edge defense, like pass rushers. And that's Tyree Wilson. Like, it fits him perfectly. It's literally what he's made to be. He's made to be that freak on your line. So I'm all for this. That's where I would go to. That's where I've gone a lot of my mocks. So we're in agreement.
Perfect. Congratulations, Seattle. You have Tyree Wilson. And now for me, and maybe you'll agree, Detroit, for me, outside of the Eagles, outside of the Chiefs, this is the team that I am the most excited to watch them attack this draft. And so I'm really excited to see you set that flag for how the rest of this draft's going to go. And is that going to be, we got to look at two areas. For 4 straight years, they've been near the bottom in, yards allowed. And for the past 2, they've been bottom 3 in passing yards allowed. So we know that they need to slow down opposing teams' passing games. Question is there's a lot of sexy, fun picks. And when you're a team on the rise, there's some different ways you can go. So what's your first take?
So if Jalen Carter does slip, I just want to say this. If he does slip, he doesn't go past here. This is where it ends. He ends up in Detroit if he does. But we've picked them, so let's move on from there. I know that they went out and they got some pieces for their defense. They took my Chauncey Gardner. They got a couple of cornerbacks. But I want Devin Witherspoon. I want that guy who could be an island cornerback for me. And these cornerbacks that they signed aren't there for the long term. They traded Okuda. He's gone. This guy has a feisty style of play that I just love from my cornerback. Yeah. And if I don't need him to go out there and be the automatic island from the very first day, because we did sign a couple people and he won't be like alone in that defensive back room, I like it. I think that feisty style, bite the kneecaps. We all know the quote. Yeah. Like, I think it fits in perfectly. And honestly, everything else that's here, like just looking through the list myself, I don't see it. The only thing that would be a fun pick for me would be Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like, I think that would be his, just because of the suspension with JMO. Like, I think it would be fun. It would cause chaos, but I can't put my name on that. So give me Devin Witherspoon. I think that's where I got to go.
I have, in every mock, it's been one of those two. It's been Jalen Carter. And Jalen Carter, if I can make a change after mocks, it's always being able to say, let him slide to 6. To watch him line up inside with Hutchinson and James Houston and just let that, because the linebackers aren't great right now. Malcolm Rodriguez, Derek Barnes have to grow and get better, and Alex Anzalone is not the answer. If you can have that much pass rush and that pressure, man. But the best thing that can go to help pass rush is having Devin Witherspoon, along with, newly acquired Cam Sutton. And like you said, CJ Gardner-Johnson, which will just make that that secondary great. And the good news is they also have picks 18, 48, 55 coming up. Yeah. They can address a lot of concerns.
And I get it all the time from Lions fans. So like, well, we just signed cornerbacks. And I'm like, yeah, you know how often teams play 11 personnel and you need 3 or 4 cornerbacks on the field at all times. Like, you need more than 2. So like, this is a now pick and a future pick for me.
Exactly. And look at use the Chiefs as an example. We've suffered through, we had to rotate 5 different corners, 6 different corners over the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So having depth at a position like that is not bad at all. Having depth that includes Devin Witherspoon is exceptional. And so I'm on board with Devin Witherspoon. And I'm an Illini, so that also helps with
that always helps.
Him go. I don't have any skin in the game for Detroit in the NFC North, so I don't care. And let's be honest, the passing game in the North isn't exactly anything to he might have plenty of opportunities with some of the quarterbacks up there, but
for sure.
The Raiders. The Raiders. This I just don't know. I want to say here's their chance to look at a quarterback in the future. So with the Raiders, you have 2 trains of thought too. And this is the old, as I've heard many people call the the Mahomes conundrum. What do? Do you stack offense to try to keep up with their offense? Or do you try to stack defense to try to slow down their offense? And, their needs right now, if you ask me, the top needs are safety and corner. And there's no safeties that I'm going to take this high up.
No.
I like the idea of Christian Gonzalez there. I don't know if I like the idea of the quarterback here. As much as I know that it's enticing to see Stroud's name still there, I've never really been 100% sold. Are you as concerned with the ghosts of Ohio State past, or is that just is it just what you've seen on tape also?
I mean, the ghost of Ohio State pass always it flares up, it pops into the conversation, but it's not part of this conversation for me.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation with the Raiders, you go out, you get Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, I understand his deal could basically be like a 1-year deal, but you win and you have Devontae Adams too. Yeah,
Yeah.
to get the guy of the future while having the older player, superstar, wide receiver, it's just you're gonna piss him off. It's not gonna be a good sight. Like I don't think he was very happy when Carr left. You're gonna come out and now tell him like our very high pick that can give me a very good quality player
Mm-hmm.
is gonna, fade away because we wanted to get the quarterback of the future. For me, you brought back Josh Jacobs, obviously, on the tag and stuff. I want to go as safe as possible if I'm the Raiders
Yeah.
because they screw up a lot of things, usually with character, but with like a lot of players. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't want it because I want him in Philadelphia, but like Peter Skoronsky's there. He can
Exactly.
move around. There's a Paris Johnson. Like, I think they need either a cornerback or a lineman because you can never have enough of either of those.
Correct. And if we've seen the one thing that the Raiders have had problems with is at tackle as well as interior, and that's where Skoronski has the best strength. He's clear. I think he's number one in terms of the overall offensive line rankings, and a lot of that is because of his flexibility. But I think that that's just his skill set for a team like the Raiders, which to me, I mean, it just seems like every year that's the one area that I focus on, especially from like a fantasy perspective, from an IDP standpoint, is we focus on their offensive line and their weaknesses. And I think you do need to address an area, and the AFC West has an abundance of pass rushers, and we'll see the Chiefs later on try to address that same thing. So I'm going to go with Skoronski, as much as I know that you want him with the Eagles. I know, but
I shouldn't have said it.
No. He was at the top of my list. It was bouncing back and forth. And don't get me wrong, I can be swayed. Like I said, you can entice me. And I would have taken my second pick. It would have been Christian Gonzalez as my 2, and my third would have been Paris Johnson. So it would have been one of those 3. This is a tricky one too. Is it Desmond Ridder? Is he the quarterback of the future? You talked about this earlier. They've got talent galore at a bunch of different places. I mean, they addressed, if you ask me, they made out free agency wise, they made the biggest moves defensively. When you bring in Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, David Onyemata, Caden Ellis, Jeff Rakuta, that tells me that they are going to focus either across the offensive line or they're going to focus on skill players. And I'm intrigued to hear what your take is.
So for me, I don't believe in Desmond Ridder whatsoever. And like you just named all the players they got, and they're in a division that is very winnable right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple train of thoughts. One would be go through this draft, get everything you can in other positions than quarterback, and then take your future ones, go try to get Lamar Jackson, because your future ones will now be late first because you're such a good team.
Right.
But that's too much for this. So for me, I almost went JSN just to piss a lot of people off, but I don't want to do that. I think this is where the CJ Stroud stops. He goes to Atlanta. I like Taylor Heineke. I'm not worried about him. He's a little too gunslinger without the talent. And then Desmond Ridder, just nothing about him excites me whatsoever. And for me, if you have a chance to win the division, give me a guy like CJ Stroud, and I know I have a clear cut, could be the favorites to win the whole thing.
And if you're the Falcons, you have to be just thinking you hit the jackpot. You didn't have to trade any draft equity whatsoever. You don't have another pick until 44, so you're not really going to be enticed to move up later on to even grab that quarterback or move down to get one of the ones available. And up until about 2 months ago, Stroud was number 1 on many people's boards. And I, I'm far from an expert or a scout, but I think that to get him at 8 is good draft value, especially for a team that did so much in the offseason to address an already concern. So CJ Stroud, welcome to Atlanta. So this is where I really hate this, because my first instinct is to do what I think is going to cause you headaches with Philly, is to look at the one area. So the Bears, while they ran the ball more than almost every team in the NFL last year, maybe they did. I don't have it in front of me. They also allowed the most sacks per rush attempt. So their pressure percentage was the worst in the NFL. If you address one area with a quarterback that you decide, I'm assuming they're deciding to keep. Did you, not to go off on a tangent, but I've heard people say if Stroud was available with the Bears, you consider that. I think that is that's ludicrous to me, but maybe I'm not seeing things straight. Maybe I don't know, have rose-colored glasses on for Fields, but I never consider that. But I've heard that. Have you heard people say that?
I've heard it once or twice, and I've instantly dismissed them. I may have muted those pages because, like, it's such an asinine move to do, and what a way to set your franchise back, in my opinion. As they're getting such a good haul for the number 1 pick, you went and blew it if you did that. So no, I'm not in that field.
No, good. Okay, that makes me feel better. So I'm going to do this. You deserve to have a little softball toss to you. I'm not going to go with Paris Johnson. As much as I think they need that, I also think that they did a good job towards the end of the season of blocking and doing well in terms of setting up Fields to use his legs. And they didn't try to just, stiff arm the edge rushers and make him a pocket passer. They allowed him, they did screens. They did, some draw plays. They did a number of different things to get the offensive line moving and defensive line guessing. So I'm going to address the secondary, which is one of the areas they definitely need, especially considering the linebacking core got better, but it didn't get much better in coverage. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards are decent tackling linebackers, but Christian Gonzalez shores up that secondary, and there's no linebackers that I want to take right now. So I like Christian Gonzalez to the Bears. And now you get to rally the faithful, fly, Eagle, fly.
They're all going to yell at me. They're all going to yell at me because they yell at me all the time because, like, take Bijan. No, do this. No, take Nolan Smith at 10 is all I keep hearing about from, like, Eagles fans, not analysts, like Eagles fans.
Right.
And I just want to tell them, like, I like Nolan Smith, but I don't think they realize how he's undersized, and a 10 is just not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God you took Christian Gonzalez, because that would have gave me such a conundrum on who to pick here, because obviously it's going to be, like you've already kind of brought it up, for me, it's Paris Johnson. Now, normally I make this pick with Peter Skoronski, but I'll explain my theory behind it because it works for Paris too. He could play right guard. He's done it. He's been there. He's obviously a tackle as well. You get about 7 or 8 linemen for the game on the day, like they're active. This gives us options. This gives us a versatility. We have a guy we could put at right guard, and if Cam Jurgens has to wait another year, then so be it, because Jason Kelce is just that good. And then if a tackle goes down, you shift Paris Johnson and you move Cam Jurgens, who has been practicing at right guard, right into that slot. It allows for just some change. Some, like, if we need it, we have it. It's almost like a swing tackle plus. And I love that.
I do too.
It's boring. It's boring as hell. And that's what Philadelphia does every time.
And it's successful. I mean, honestly, if you took, I see 2 names separated by a person as far as the PFF ADP. And I think the most ridiculous idea that I've done, and I love it and hate it at the same time, is taking someone like a Kalijah Kancey. And I'm like, why would the Eagles want to do this? They have so much depth across the defensive line, but there's no such thing as enough depth at the defensive line. We saw that last year until the one time it didn't work out in, maybe in the Super Bowl, but they had so much pressure and they had that rotation. I know they lost some pieces, but my God, I mean, a plethora of riches when you can have an offense that you don't need to add a ton of pieces to. You already have enough to make it to the Super Bowl and dominate. And if you can dominate the interior and just beat up the opposing team's defensive line as well as the offensive line, I think that's extremely solid. And I love the Paris Johnson pick. And maybe for your sake, hopefully Pete Skoronski falls all the way there and you can get him, because he is definitely more versatile than Paris Johnson.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that entire section of talking to the Eagles just reminded me of, whoever did the field of the Super Bowl, you're not allowed in Philly. I don't care if you're 90-something years old and you're a nice old man. I don't care. You suck. That field sucked. Don't ever come to my city.
Exactly. And you were the ambassadors from Philly, as far as I'm concerned. Also, by the way, the guys, my daughter's boyfriend, they're in their 20s, 21, 22, 23. When I told them that you had named Swoop, they felt like I was friends with a celebrity. And I was like, it's like, he's not Swoop. You know that, right? Then I thought, I was like, dude, just fucking go with it. Yeah, he actually is Swoop too. And then if they, they
should put
better.
me in the costume.
They
I
should.
would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat. I might have to talk to them.
You should. I'm assuming I don't know who they are. I don't think Howie Roseman has anything to do with the Swoop.
Nah, that's more of a couple of friends' moms who work in like the HR office and stuff. I'll go talk with them.
We'll sweet talk them. We'll sweet talk
yeah.
them. If there's anybody I know, it's you and I that can sweet talk people we don't know into letting you play get into a drunken eagle costume.
Yeah, just have a little fun. That's
wonderful.
all.
It would be wonderful. Yeah. I don't feel wonderful about trying to figure out what Tennessee's going to do.
I'm glad you took this. I'm glad you took this one.
Dude, I can name 10 people, and you've probably mocked all of these different people to them from it makes sense they could go Jackson Smith and Jigba. It really does. It doesn't shock me. They need, last year's trade was just, you want to talk about pissing the fan base off. That was the easiest way to do it. Vrabel and Ran Carthen screwed that up. There's talks that maybe they trade Derrick Henry. If they do that, do you take Bijan in the next role? I say no, even though Carthen is an old running back, and I think he would like to do that. I think the real move is to probably focus on, the interior, the offensive line, and move over. The problem is, this is where offensive line starts to get thin for me as far as, is it worth the trade down?
I'm curious where you're going because I have an idea for my final mock. So I'm not going to say anything until you make your picks. I'm curious.
I am going to go the one thing. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is long for this team, and I don't think Malik Willis is either. I think this is the move. If I had my say and I could trade down, I would trade them down to somewhere around 16, maybe 18, somewhere around there, and have one of those teams move up, because I think that there's a chance that they actually draft Hendon Hooker in the first round.
Okay.
I don't know if I love it, but I think that he's the most NFL ready, and I think that I might try to play it safe with that. And it's my hometown, kind of thing.
Yeah, I like it. So for me, I've had some mocks where I've traded this pick to Tampa Bay, and they came and got Will Levis.
Okay, I like that too.
And that's one I did. And then the thing, and I'll spoil it here. I'm not going to post it until Thursday. And I always get his first name wrong. So if it's wrong, everybody sue me. I don't care. DeJuan Jones.
Yes.
Just his size. He fits a need. He can get outside. It just keeps sitting in my head. But I like the Hooker idea too. So if that's where we're going, I'm all for it. I was glad if you're doing Hooker, that takes it off of me, because everywhere in the teens, I'm like, someone's going to trade for Hooker.
I like your trade idea. I say we propose that trade. Let's see if PFF will let us do it. Will they let us trade with of course not. Why would they let us trade with the team?
Just force it. Force it. Yeah.
Where are you at, Tampa? There you are. You got to swap 19 for 11. And you know what? I'll be fair about this. I think Tennessee, Tampa, in order to do so, will give up a third next year. And because I'll say Tennessee is definitely gun shy about trades this year. So you're going to have to be like, we'll give you a third, and we'll leave it just that, because we don't really care. We're not going to the third.
We just got to force that trade. Click that little button at the. Okay, there we go.
They took it anyway.
They took it.
Look at that. What do you know?
I'll take it.
I've never done that before. We got something going. We've never had it where they forced the unforceable trade happen, and they go up.
I've done this trade so much that PFF's like, fine, we'll just give it to everybody.
Joe's on it again. Will Levis, and you know what I like is I don't really care for Tampa Bay all that much, and so I'm glad that they're going to get what I consider a just gunsling arm with nothing else around it, and it puts him off the clock. And now we can talk about Hendon Hooker later, but you get Houston now, and I love this because they've addressed, and I think they got the best, the safest, maybe the best defensive player in the draft. Jalen Carter is an exception that I think people will want to make. Now they're staring at 2 different people at 2 different positions, 3 different people at 3 different positions that all are at the best at their respective position. And they don't need tight end because they signed Dalton Schultz. Granted, they could still always do it, and they really don't need Bijan. Is this the Jackson Smith and Jingba, or is this another centerpiece for a team building?
This is hard for me because when it's a quarterback at 2, it's nice and simple. It's JSN.
Yes, exactly.
But it's like I'm looking through the players now, and none of the cornerbacks scream because like I like Stingley, but he's got a foot issue at a position where you need to have footwork, so it just drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like Stingley, but that's no. You know what? I think you just have to go JSN. I think you go BPA here, best player available.
Yep.
And it's either like tank for Caleb or trade back in for Hooker, which we still have on the board here. So maybe that goes down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be JSN though, man. He's the most talented wide receiver. I don't even think it's close. Like they need somebody there. They just traded off Brandon Cooks. Give either your Hooker or whoever you get this year or Caleb next year, or even if you go to Lamar Jackson route and you get real crazy with this stuff, give them a weapon.
Yeah. And actually from a quarterback perspective, if you're trying to gain some touch and overall like good route running, Robert Woods and JSN are both solid route runners, which will be very helpful. And they can always spread it deep. I mean, we're sitting there trying to put the Houston Texans passing game on a pedestal. Let's calm down a little bit. But I do love
Mills.
Davis. I know. I will say this hurts me for the next pick because for Green Bay, I've desperately wanted to mock them a receiver as soon as Aaron Rodgers left, just because I think it's the most, I don't know, fortuitous type scenario, even though I don't know if they actually will do it or not. Do you think that they'll draft a receiver?
It's just not their way.
Right?
I'm in a group. I think we might actually be in the same group with Jeff Bell, and he was saying like they've only done it once in like the last 7 years or something like that. For me, I've been mocking Kincaid here a lot, and that's as far as I'll go offensive wise for the Packers. Usually this is Brian Branch for me.
Yeah, and that does make sense. They need a safety, and they also need a slot corner, which is really a nickel, which is what he's going to play.
That's what he is. Yeah.
The only thing that the only other position would be another edge rusher to complement Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and I just don't know if they would go Nolan Smith because they have speed. I think they could use a power inside out guy to complement on that defensive line. So I really want see that again, man. I want the Chiefs to trade up and take Dalton Kincaid so bad.
We've talked about this a lot. Yeah,
I know it, but I'm going to go with you here, and I'm going to go with Brian Branch because he fits that team, and he's a solid safety / nickel as there is in the draft this year.
And they've done this with Clinton Dix. I think he was 20. So like that middle of the round, it fits.
That's exactly right. You get the Patriots, and if you can figure out what the Patriots are going to do, and the easy answer would to say trade back and pick up 7 picks somehow. And I have a question for you, though. Have you mocked Bijan to the Patriots yet?
No, because I don't want to hurt my soul in the 2 leagues that I have the 101. So I can't even put it. I can't put it out there. I can't.
I don't blame you.
It would be so 1980s football to do that when you have Stevenson, when this draft has a depth to it with running back as well, and you could go elsewhere with it. But they also took Tyquan Thornton like 4 rounds earlier than I would have. Like they're hard to figure out, man. Like they're just such a confusing team. I feel like Bill's past his like prime. No more Brady. Every time I get here and every time I read about this guy, they go together, and it's just Lucas Van Ness. I think it has to be him, and it's the old phrase from like Big Daddy, like they go together like lamb and tuna fish. Like it just, every time I watch it, I just feel like I'm watching a Patriots player.
It is. It's not shocking that, and yes, I've seen a ton of your mocks, and yes, I've done the same, but I've done the exact same thing without, like, I don't even think I pick it. I think it skips over. I'm shocked it actually stopped right now because my finger must have just automatically went there because it does make perfect sense. So he definitely won't go, and you and I will just laugh about the situation, or he does.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, sometimes it just makes sense. So Lucas Van Ness, congratulations, you're on the Patriots, and they do have a good collection of edge rushers, and I think that, you know, for a team that I don't know if they have an identity offensively yet necessarily. I don't think they're too far away from trying to get them. They have a great running game. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily trust anybody throwing the ball. And that, you know, I get it.
No.
I
mean, they had a defensive coordinator as the offensive coordinator.
Correct.
Mac Jones really isn't that great. We're out here like, oh, Zappy, let's get him. That's like when people were saying Nick Foles was the future. And I love Nick Foles. He got me a Super Bowl, but no. You know? So
it feels like I hear way too many people that are so fast. Like their speed to get on the bandwagon is incredible when the bandwagon only has a 2-seater and they're piling on to the bumper and the muffler and holding on for dear life. Man, if the Jets are another team that you want to talk about like needs, they have enough, but they have solid pieces everywhere. And it's like, I mean, you know, the easy question is or answer is you protect your new 40-year-old quarterback and you make sure that what are we going to, is Mekhi Becton healthy? Is Mekhi Becton going to return what you want? Is the rest of the offensive line cohesive enough? Do you look at that? And I think that that's what I focus on. I really like Broderick Jones because I think that he's the true, especially not knowing what Becton's going to do. He's probably the best left tackle available right now, in my opinion, at least.
Yep.
And I think that it just seems like something they've already given up enough picks in terms of like they have 15 and 43 remaining. Let's just get solid and let's stay there. And I know that's such, you know, I don't know if it's BPA, but it's SPA, safest pick available.
I like it.
Let's do that, Broderick Jones. So
I agree. It's every time I do a mock, he's pretty much ending up here. If not him, and I want to get weird and fancy for today, it's DeJuan Jones. And I'm like, he'll go to right. Becton will stay left. But, you know, who knows with Becton. So I like it. I'm all for that one.
Here's your Washington. You talk about, you know, I mean, little flavor for a couple different options. They have a multitude of different ways they can go, if you ask me. One of which they don't have to worry about is at least defensive line. They have that locked up.
Yeah.
So we're safe there.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to let you, in a sense, pick who I pick here.
Okay.
One that you'll like and one that'll be spicy and piss you off at the same point, but would be a fun talking point.
Okay.
Which way do you want me to go?
Well, I know the piss me off one is going to be the one where I've seen him mock there plenty of times, and it makes sense, especially if you want to.
I see the hand going over it.
Oh, you see it. I forgot I shared my screen. But I think that does make sense. But I want to hear the other one, your other option. I'm moving my hand away from the screen, so I'm intrigued. So that one we know is going to piss me off, and that might be the way I lean. But
my other option is you're in a division with CeeDee Lamb, Devonta Smith, and AJ Brown. You need cornerbacks. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm going to go Joey Porter over Deontay Banks, even though Banks is super fast.
Yeah.
I think it's a safer bet with Joey Porter. Yeah. So I'm going to let you decide which way you want this mock to roll, but it's between Dalton Kincaid, which is the spicy, give him his Travis Kelce to the Eric Bieniemy setup.
Exactly.
Or Joey Porter to face off against all the crazy wide receivers in the NFC East. And I'm going to let you choose your fate. It's like a Goosebumps book.
I like this. Choose Your Adventure. It was back before that too, where you went to page 75 if you wanted to go left at the
Yeah, but you got to know the trick. You never take your finger off the page. In case you die, you just go back real quick.
Yeah, you know? I didn't want to do that. And I feel like I would die if I took Dalton Kincaid. And you hit the nail, though. Exactly right. Eric Bieniemy, Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce. Ron Rivera, Joey Porter Jr., Greg Norman. Those, and he likes rangy. He likes the Joey Porter, and I've mocked Joey Porter there so many times that I'm going to take Joey Porter.
Okay.
I'm also hedging myself and hoping that there's 15 other teams. Even though I got to tell you, if Kincaid's there at 31, of course I would take him for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because I've mocked two of the other guys already that I would love for them to have been able to get, and one of them that he's not going to fall. It's got to be a trade. So I'm going to go ahead, Joey Porter Jr. here. Pittsburgh would have been my other Joey Porter Jr. Mock, is who I've had, but you touched on him and you said the name, and I think that makes plenty of sense, is Deonte Banks.
Yep.
The horse Cam Sutton gone. I love the idea of, throwing someone like Kalijah Cansey on there too, because they are getting older across the defensive line, and Pitt Boy stays in Pittsburgh, blah, blah, blah. I don't know any other real like solid outside of, Darnell Wright. We've talked enough about, DeJuan Jones, not enough about him, but we've mentioned DeJuan Jones's name. That's another option there. So you want to split that? He said, I think I'm going to go Deontay.
You're naming the two players that I always put in Pittsburgh,
okay.
Jones and Banks. But if it was me, I'm choosing the cornerback. I know that you have the young quarterback you need to protect. I understand all that. Build the line. I just think you put him with Patrick Peterson there. Peterson's teaching him. It builds him up a little bit more. I like those two. You have Fitzpatrick in the back. You build kind of a dangerous defensive back room.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I agree. I think that his speed makes up for any youthful exuberance that can come out sometimes, especially when you're confident because you have Minka back there. You tend to do some dumb things sometimes that speed will overcome. So here you go. Man, you get both pieces of the Detroit Lions build, and I love it because I want you to do it, and I know you're facing a couple different options here again. Now this is when ESPN, NFL Network, they are just blowing up because they're showing the green room.
Oh, yeah.
You got to be talking about Bijan. Dalton Kincaid's name has to be just going crazy. The talks of maybe Hendon Hooker and looking who's up next. Is there another team that wants to jump ahead? You're on the clock, Joe. You're turning in your card.
All right. Do me one favor before I make my decision. Show me who that one team is that wants to trade.
Who wants to trade? That wants to trade up for Detroit.
Yeah, show me that team that's in the notifications. I'm just curious.
The Green Bay Packers.
Oh, never mind. That
doesn't make any sense.
Because if it showed the Eagles, I was doing the Bijan thing. I was just going for it.
What'd you think? Here, let's be real here. If you're Detroit, and granted, at this point it's outside of the North. We know that, but you're not battling the NFC, but you are. If you're Detroit, do you even entertain an Eagles trade up to take Bijan, knowing that just completes the Voltron of Eagles studliness and they win everything because they have that?
I feel like you can if you wanted to. I'm not going to in this one. I feel like you can though, because after the Eagles, it's a hodgepodge of okay, maybe Brock Purdy could possibly make the Niners better, or Dak will elevate again. Like they could get in the picture pretty easily. Mm-hmm. But I look at Kincaid, I like him, but I don't think he blocks well enough for Dan. So then I think about Michael Mayer, but I just think that's too early. Yep. Because of JMO, I think I want to do this. I think I'm going to go with Zay Flowers.
Okay, I like that. You know what?
Yeah.
I feel like Zay Flowers is going to be the sneaky one that very easily could be like, I don't know if I want to say one, because I think JSN is definitely the more polished, but there's very good reasons that a team like that, and I agree. I've found myself mocking the Lions, and it's it's not just because JMO. It's not like they
need one.
Absolutely. I like that. I'm gonna
listen. The guy threw on 12 pounds of muscle, which is something that a guy like Dan Campbell is going to look at and be like, that's my kind of guy. Yes. He works hard, he grinds. We've seen Amon-Ra St. Brown do the same thing in the weight room and stuff like that. He's a movable weapon, which you guys killed my Eagles with those types of plays where you bring them in, then you run them right back out, and you scored all the touchdowns against us in the Super Bowl. Plays like that are kind of the new thing in the NFL.
Yeah.
And if you can get somebody like Zay Flowers, and when you can get a guy who you're hearing comps, and I don't truly believe this comp, but the comp to Antonio Brown,
Right. Come
I
on.
it makes it real hard for me to pass up that. And then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have those running backs. You'll eventually get JMO back. You're going to have to get another wide receiver because you need some depth for sure. But you don't have to worry about it right away. And I think, like, what do we give them at 6 again? Because I'm blanking on that. 6
We
was
gave
the cornerback.
Devin Witherspoon. Yeah.
So now you've hit both sides of your team and made both sides better. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Now at 19, this is where, I'm your friend, and I want to check this right here. And I hope and pray.
Oh
man, that's one.
Listen, it's never going to happen with the Titans and the Eagles again. We fleeced them. They're never going to trade with us again.
Exactly.
They're never trading with us again.
It does make a lot of sense as far as the situation is, them moving up and in the spot. Because if I'm Tennessee at this point, yes, Seattle could look at Hooker. Maybe. No, the Chargers won't.
No.
The Ravens, I have no clue anymore.
Yeah.
The Vikings are this scary team that could, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they do something like that. And outside of them, nobody else to me.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say, no, I'm not even going to say New Orleans. Derek Carr's there too long.
And don't forget, like, they could trade back in, like they could trade back in ahead of the Vikings with all this extra capital from moving back twice.
Exactly.
It's possible.
So when we do this and it sees the Chiefs and me being the resident KC, I don't know. Like, I like Darnell Wright. I think that he might be there at 31. I like Anton Harrison. I think he might be there at 31. I'm not enamored enough at the wide receiver spot to jump up to grab Quentin Johnson or Jordan Addison. I like them both. This is where it's like, if I'm the Chiefs and I can move up to get Dalton Kincaid, I do it. My concern is that I obviously then don't address offensive line, which we really need, and edge, which we could use.
Yeah, see, for me, it's those top 2 players right there if you were to do that trade. And it's a little deeper with the line this year, so maybe you could do it a little later, but it depends on who you got to trade away capital-wise. And then I look, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I agree with you. I think, like, the Jordan Addisons, the Anton, being there, maybe the Juan Jones, like Darnell Washington. Like, I'm just watching you scroll past people. Breeze, like, there's names that are still going to be there. Even a Jamar Gibbs at 31. If you wanted to go all the way down to the Jamal Charles comp,
right? Exactly.
There's a lot of options, and I don't know. I don't see you guys actually making this trade.
And I say that Tennessee at this point, they gambled enough. They got the extra picks. They still get their guy. That's a win for a team that needs enough stuff. I think that this is the move. And I'm not saying that I'm like this huge Hendon Hooker supporter, but I do think that the situation, especially with so much controversy in my eyes, in your eyes, especially, also with Will Levis and not knowing if CJ Stroud realistically, I think it's a Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson who's going to end up with the more dynamic career in, 3-4 years down the road, of course, not just next year. But Hendon Hooker fits into a situation that I think they didn't have to squeeze a square peg into a round hole to try to get there. So now you're on the clock with Seattle. The last pick, of course, Seattle took Tyree Wilson. So they've addressed their edge. I don't know if – go ahead.
Is it bad that I kind of want to go edge again? Like, they love these freaky athletes, and Miles Murphy is staring me in the face right now. He just seems like he fits. Maybe Barize too, but and I don't even know if I'm saying his last name correct because I've heard it 9 different ways, but
I have no clue. I really don't.
Yeah, neither do I. So if I got it wrong, Brian, don't come sack me. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give them just a crazy defense here with Tyree and Miles Murphy. Let's go Miles Murphy. I like the freak athlete. He's got this wild ability to him. It's just like it disappeared, but there's nobody I've seen in this draft that's twitchier than him.
Nope.
And I think if you put them on like each side, who are you stopping?
No, and then you have Encheta Nwosu on the out, even
Yeah.
coming out from there. You bring back Bobby Wagner to solidify the center. You've got, Tariq Woolen on the outside. You've got safeties galore to step up into the box. I think with these moves here, Seattle is a very dangerous, as long as there's no complete regression from Geno Smith. This team is scary good.
Legion of Doom.
I mean,
they were that team. And if we could put some people on the line that forces that quarterback to have to throw it even sooner, that Legion of Doom is going to look even better.
Well,
2.0 style.
That's one of the reasons why back before, when I was contemplating with going Christian Gonzalez there, is because that's what they had back in the day. They had those big athletic, from Richard Sherman all the way back to Cam Chancellor, et cetera. They were all big, physical, and they brought it. I'm going to bring something here that I know neither one of us are going to like. I can look at the trade. I don't know why I want to do this. Do I want to do this, or will they do this? I'm going to let you make that decision.
If the trade is the Eagles, do it.
It's not. Sorry.
Come on. Damn.
New Orleans.
Yeah. I don't know, because, how are you going to trade away Austin Eckler? He's too old. He's smaller. I can't see that going down. And I feel like the running backs are deeper. So yes, you could still get his replacement in a sense later.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, what do we like? A lot of times I either mock Quentin Johnson here because they love height. Yep. Everybody's over 6 feet tall on this team. And Mike Williams has been kind of a letdown. Keenan Allen's getting older. Joshua Palmer's okay, but not amazing. I usually go there, or I usually go cornerback, but I don't think we really have the cornerbacks left that I feel comfortable doing that.
I would agree. I like Emmanuel Forbes, but I don't think he's worthwhile throwing there. And I don't want to jump up. Ringo is the next corner on my list. Yeah. He's a project, and I don't think you need projects right now at corner against this the AFC West, which is, again, that's what takes us back to the same questions we had. And that's why you're addressing, the two positions. Do you keep up with the Joneses, or do you try to slow down the Joneses?
For me, the offensive coordinator change is why I lean on wide receiver more often than not here, because he's going to want to throw that ball.
Yep.
And he has Justin Herbert. And the guy threw for 1 billion yards last year. It was just the touchdowns didn't show. He had the rib injury. He should come back. The touchdowns should go up. I think the Chargers in LA are going to want to be that LA team and run the score up to play that type of game. But that's up to you, man.
No, this is you. Oh, no, it is me, isn't it? Yeah.
It's you. Yeah, I just did Miles Murphy.
Yeah, I'm taking Quentin Johnson.
Perfect.
That just, size, like you said, everything kind of fits into it.
It fits their team mold.
And I've done that same mock, so I feel comfortable that I'm not just doing something completely different. I wish I could tell you what to do with Baltimore, man. I mean, if you could know by tomorrow or Thursday, what they're going to do with Lamar, that changes this whole draft, of course. But
to me, I don't like any of the wide receivers enough that are left. I think Jordan Addison's okay. I just he didn't test very well, and for a little guy to run that slow, that really bothers me. I'm not a fan of that. This might be where Nolan Smith goes. This is where I think he ends up at. Obviously we've seen him test well. He's quick. He's obviously a little small, but this is one of the hardest picks, and I was really hoping I didn't get Baltimore.
Hold on. Maybe. Let's see. It's Jacksonville.
No, because I have an idea for Jacksonville if he gets there, so I don't want to. I don't want to mess with it. I think I'm gonna go Nolan. Let me just scroll through here. I don't think it's Cansey. I don't think it's him. The cornerbacks are still a little early. Will McDonald, no. Yeah, I don't like anybody here. There's just nobody I really like here. And Nolan Smith has the best talent left in a sense, and he could bend and he could dip, and he's lightning in a bottle in a sense. So I think they want to rebuild up that defense a little more. I'll go Nolan.
Yeah, and I don't blame you there. I mean, the only the name that I keep cycling and going down, all this
Yeah.
hype about Keon White, and it's not that I am enamored with the guy. It's just that they invite him to the draft. A lot of pundits are, they're moving him up the draft board, and I don't know what changed other than maybe talk, and talk can predicate hype and everything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked to see his name mentioned with some of these other edges, but I love Nolan Smith. And like you said, the Ravens, obviously, with losing some of the pieces there, and they have good young talent. Last year, Ojabo came over from Michigan, who's a stud outside linebacker. So that speed with physicality. And so those two could set the edge extremely, long term for the Ravens. Ugh, I hate the Vikings right now. To try to figure out what they want to do is, there's so many, like, again, the top, we know it's not long for Cousins. We go ahead.
Yeah. There's no quarterbacks left. Yeah. Nope. So you can't play there's quarterbacks, but nobody of importance.
Yes.
The only other thing I've ever done in this, and because he kind of reminds me of Stephon Diggs, is Jordan Addison. That high end. Well, he'll be a high end too to Justin Jefferson, obviously, but he's got good route running. But like you said, there's just not a fun spot. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota played around with a trade and moved out if they didn't like anybody left.
Yep.
But the thing is, everybody's like, "Oh, he's going to trade. They're going to trade out. They're going to trade out." You need somebody who wants to trade in.
Exactly.
And Bijan is there.
So we want to hit it?
Let's see. Oh,
man. That does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. What are the other teams? Click on the Buffalo Bills thing.
The Rams and the Falcons.
The Falcons kind of, but that's not what I think will happen. And the Rams, I can't see
the Rams have enough picks even later on to move and make that happen.
I wouldn't hate the Bills one because I think the Vikings can then go like Forbes. They can go Jordan Addison. Like the Bills are 27, right? Yeah. So like there's going to be some options there for that. Brian Barize still there. Jack Campbell because it's towards the end of the draft.
I'm actually going to add another name in Kalijah Clancy because they lose Dalvin Tomlinson to the Browns, I believe, and that opens up a hole in the middle of that defensive line for someone that they want. When you lose Eric Kendricks too, that is just a vacancy that Asamoah, who's going to step in and play linebacker there, if you can get good, quick push up the middle, that hopefully would make his job as integration into the league a little bit. I got to, okay, let's do it. If that was my thinking, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, I'm their GM, and I'm thinking, all right, guys, let's go put the, pick in for Kalijah, and Buffalo calls and says, all right, guys, we'll switch picks and we'll give you a third round this year. That doesn't seem crazy. Might not be fair, but whatever. And we're not really doing it.
Who cares? Yeah.
Is there anybody here between 23 and 27 that you think would take him from us? Do you think Jacksonville would go defensive line? I don't.
No.
Do you think the Giants? No. Maybe the Cowboys?
This would all depend on Clancy, Barize, how close do you have them rated, and can you just pick A or B, like whoever's left?
And
are you okay with that?
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's Detroit or Dallas is the only team there, and Dallas is now looking, and I'm thinking, man, if it's not Kincaid to one of those two teams, that makes sense going to Dallas. But let's do that for all intents and purposes, because why not? Because you never know what could happen. We're going to go 27 for 23, and Buffalo is also going to give a third. So we'll go. That's probably a fourth.
Yeah, I lose track of these numbers all the time. So
good. At least it's not just me.
Forced to trade. Yeah, we'll just force to trade.
It's accepted again. Look at that. Damn. We don't even care. Fuck them. Let's do it. Yeah. All right. So Buffalo moves up. The slide ends, right?
Yeah.
Bijan in Buffalo. Ugh, God, people are not gonna like us when we release.
Yeah, they're gonna hate us.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm gonna hate us. I have to battle it. Oh my God. All right, here's your Jacksonville. You said you had something exciting for Jacksonville.
Well, no, it's not exciting, just where I always end up. And this will hurt my soul if the Eagles don't go offensive line early, because I want this guy to slip down to us. Big old boy, big old guard, Torrance Osiris.
Yeah.
I
Love it.
think he fits here, obviously, but like I really would love him on the Eagles because he's so good in gap schemes and it's the RPO and it would just it would work. But I don't need him because we already have somebody that we kind of filled that gap with. So I do think that he ends up here. Protect Trevor Lawrence. You have a shot to take this division very easily. You have all these weapons now with Calvin Ridley coming back. You have a chance to be in that upper echelon of the AFC. But that all fades away if your long hair, head and shoulders quarterback isn't on the field.
Exactly.
So keep them healthy.
Yep. I love Osiris Rose. I think that these hybrid guard center, flexible offensive linemen they had been underdrafted for so long because people just would say, and I don't know if there was much credence, you can't take a center or guard this early. Why not? Every time that you take someone like that and you look back 3 years later and you go, they got so-and-so in the third. My God, how? And I'm like, because you said you couldn't take him in the first. It was written in stone. He had
it drives me nuts because if a team could push the pocket back right through the middle, it screws up everything for the quarterback. So
absolutely
stop that. Like
we're not trying to start a petition. Petition number 3, two. Number 1, Joe, is swoop, and number 2 is draft guards early. But I don't think that that's crazy. Here is
I hate this pick, so I'm so glad you have it.
I am, and I'm trying to think, what's priority in this with this Giants team, and I don't know because I don't know if their offense is going to be direct, through Saquon. I mean, I think we have to assume they're going to do all extensive purposes and intensive purpose to keep him and keep him happy, but I don't trust that entirely. I know that offensive line would be nice. And this is where I'm looking at, DeJuan Jones, I think is solid. Can he play right as well as they would want him to? And
it's tough. I like it. And then obviously we know they need a center, but we just had the conversation. Like conventional wisdom says is this too early for you for a linebacker? Like with a Jack Campbell, or Drew Sanders, whoever you like better.
It would be so for this team. It would probably be Drew Sanders for one reason is because Wink Martindale is definitely a more blitz scheme linebacker focused coach. Now that doesn't mean anything because they have a guy named Micah McFadden who they drafted last year who fits that same role. I think they would want a more tackle dependent linebacker, and this is about the spot. I'll tell you here. Or Minnesota is where I find myself taking that linebacker and taking Jack Campbell. And I hate that they don't fall into the first round because I really want them to do so. And I see so many nice names that I feel like they're slipping. And I'm like, how did we do this? But every other pick makes sense so far. Yeah. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, you know what? We're going to see the Jack Campbell linebacker to the Giants. It's not going to be the most well-received pick, but I think it's going to be a solid pick that they're going to like.
Same.
When you look back at the Giants fans should be. If you look back at this team tackling for the last couple of years, it's been atrocious. And if you're going to try to stop everybody else in the, oh man, I don't even want to look at this next pick, but you have to make it, and I don't. So Jack Campbell to the Giants. All right, buddy, here you go.
All right. Now, part of me wants to give you the hard battle in the next pick of Kancey Berizze, and ruin your day at the same point and say they're going to go Kincaid. I'm thinking about it. They need a tight end. I don't care if people like Ferguson or Peyton Hendershot or whatever his name is. Like they're good. They're not great. You had a pretty decent tight end. You do have tight ends like Jason Witten in your past. So it's something your organization likes. And the Cowboys have a real good shot of being the team to supplant the Eagles. I hate to say it. I hate to say it so much. But they have the chance of being that team. They only need a couple more pieces and to not choke in the playoffs. I'm struggling here. You know what? I'm struggling here. So I'm gonna leave Kancey. He's not on it.
Okay.
It's Berizze and it's Kincaid. And for me, I think I'm gonna go Brian Berizze. just to add another level of explosiveness on that
Mhm.
defense with everything that Micah Parsons brings with him on top of it. You have like the cornerbacks. I cannot think of who just got traded there from the Colts. Gilmore
Yes,
and
Gilmore.
dang, why can't I think of the other cornerback's name now? The other guy.
Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon
Yeah,
Diggs.
yeah, Diggs. Like imagine those two cornerbacks with a line and Micah Parsons just blowing up the pocket.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna go Breeze here.
No, I do like that. I like that they need that area. I mean, they don't get me wrong. I think addressing corner would be nice, knowing that Gilmore's not going to be there for long. But there's not a corner that I like. Emmanuel
No,
Forbes.
yeah.
It's just I think there's corners later on. There's quite a bit of good names out there that I think could step up. And
Julius Brents is one I really like, but not here.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Smith is more than solid. You start talking about some of the other converted like safeties that they don't need in Dallas, but there's depth across defensive back as you go late. And like you said, they're playing in sub packages more times than not anymore. And they showed that. I'm sorry. I try to talk and then I just look at Minnesota and it's like, oh boy. I think I'm going to stick with what I said. It makes sense for the team dynamic. You lose Dalvin Tomlinson. It's not the same type of player, completely different. Tomlinson's twice the size of Cansey, but Cansey is anytime you can say, baby Aaron Donald, which is the worst nickname he could ever have because those shoes are monster to fill.
Yeah. It's a bad nickname to have, but you can't hate it at the same time.
No, exactly. I would take it. So he's going to be a Viking. I will tell you, I did consider trading down just to see who they have, and it's the Saints, the Rams, just none of those I would even consider.
Yeah.
So let's go Cansey.
All right.
Wait, man, another opportunity. Just stared him in the face. If you ask me, have you mocked Kincaid to the Bengals before?
Not even nearly as much as Michael Mayer.
Right,
not nearly as much. And to me, like he's physical and he's still pretty good as a tight end, and he's going to be around for 10 plus years as a player, Michael Mayer. So like you tie him to Joe Burrow that way, and then do you part with T. Higgins eventually, and then maybe bring in like a lesser wide receiver, but still have a really good tight end to go with Chase, so you still have a lot of weapons. I'm gonna, yeah, you know what? I do it more often than not. I'm gonna go Michael Mayer. I don't love him for fantasy. I rather Kincaid for fantasy purposes, obviously, because shoot for the moon. But as an NFL player, there's less risk with Michael Mayer than there is Kincaid.
There is. And if Jonah Williams wants to be traded, talk actually amounts to something. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Mayer does give that opportunity and the ability to step in and at least provide a little bit more of the blocking element than what Kincaid does. And you can't be upset taking. I think people will be upset that we took Mayer over Kincaid. But again, remember, this is NFL as much as I think they're going to see us and equate fantasy, which partially is one of the reasons why I wanted you to do this, because you have done a great job of explaining the football side of it more so than just this is what I want from a fantasy perspective.
And that's the thing. They don't yes, obviously they want him to catch passes and be a part of the offense, but you have Chase, you have Boyd, you have Higgins, maybe you have Joe Mixon. Who knows at this point? You do have OJ Howard, went there. So you have weapons. This guy can block better than Kincaid. And for a Joe Burrow, that's important. For the run game, that's important. For all the other stuff, that's important. And we don't get points in fantasy for that, but they're not playing fantasy. So
correct. And they know. They know that's an area that they can't afford to not keep Burrow upright. And he can do he doesn't need he's clearly got enough weapons. And Michael Mayer's still I think that's the one thing he's been disrespected on, is that a lot of ones just say, Mayer, great, blocking tight end. Dalton Kincaid is the pass catching. Michael Mayer's a great offensive player as well. He just happens to do more.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I mean, it's either one would be fine with me in Cincinnati, but I think Michael Mayer just fits NFL better.
Yeah. I got to tell you, New Orleans.
I hate the Saints pick, so I'm so glad you have them.
I really have no clue in which direction. I mean, their needs, offensive line, defensive line, secondary is still, they don't deserve to I mean, to even have one specific need. And I don't, I mean, they lose a little bit of speed on the edge. I think that they would like to have a physical inside out. And that's where I'm going to look at one of two. I'm going to look at Will McDonald and I'm going to look at FAU. And I think FAU might be the guy who, if he's not taken here, he slips to the 40s most likely.
Yeah.
He's got that ability to play inside, move inside, stay on the outside. He's got the, I would say the intangibles as far as he's not the most polished pass rusher, but he's polished. And it's not even like the super sexy pick, which sometimes is boring, but we get the super sexy picks the next two picks for you and I.
Yeah.
What have you done with the Saints? Anything specific that is really,
So for me, this either lands a lot with Emmanuel Forbes or it ends up being Steve Avila for guard.
Yeah.
And or if like Tyrus is still there, then it might be him. But
yes.
To me, again, you just went out, got Carr, like you gave him all this money. You have Chris Olave, you have Kamara. Who the hell knows at this point? Michael Thomas again. Who the hell knows at this point? Like you have some weapons there. Juwan Johnson's back. You brought in the quarterback though. I feel like you got to protect him. You paid him all this money. You brought this guy in. I feel like you got to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think guard's as deep as cornerback is, so I feel like they can eventually come back for another cornerback.
I like that. I like Avila. I've seen his name mentioned with a number of these teams that want that the ability to play both. I think he's more of a guard than a center from what I've seen, and I don't know that 100%. I'm not going to try to pretend that I have done extensive Avila research, but I know others that have. And if he's good enough to pass Joe's eye test and be a New Orleans Saint, guess what? We don't really care. Have fun in New Orleans, Avila, and good luck figuring that out. You, my friend, now get the second piece. Is there any inclination that the Eagles would trade back? Is there someone that was just staring you right in the face? What are you looking at?
The only way I see somebody coming up is like if they're really in love with Jordan Addison, they want to beat the Chiefs out for him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I like Kincaid a lot, but there's more tight ends. So, that's a whole nother like a Laporta like you threw there and stuff. So you could get tight end a little later. Here's my story here. I like Will McDonald. He's an option because we did do the offense. I'm not going to go Will McDonald for this one. I do think he could be a crazy player. I do think he could be a decent linebacker, because I don't think he's going to line up on the line a lot in a sense. Right. I'm going to go tight end here. I'm not taking your guy. Oh. I'm not taking Kincaid. I'm going to let you have the option if you decide you want to do it. I'm going Washington.
Yeah.
Because just think of it this way. Think Zach Ertz. We draft Dallas Goedert. We drafted him right around the age Dallas Goedert is now. We don't have a slot guy, so we need somebody to kind of run through the middle a little bit. And who's going to run through the middle better than some dude who's as big as King Kong and Godzilla?
No kidding.
Then you get Paris Johnson, put him at the right guard, and you get Darnell Washington, and you put him at tight end, and you just run the hell out of people again. You have Rashad Penny. You have Gainwell, who they were using a lot towards the end. You could still get a running back. I know Gibbs is still on the board, and people are going to be mad at me. But there's still Charbonnets, and there's still some like Kendre Millers and other running backs that I think would fit very well here. But just imagine that line and then put in Darnell Washington with it and let him. And the only reason why I picked him over Kincaid, and this was the final piece that did it for me, outside of the back issues with Kincaid, was the age.
Yeah.
And Kincaid's a little older. He's 23. Darnell, I believe, is 21, 21, one or the other. But somebody put a stat out, and I cannot remember who put it out, so I can't give credit, unfortunately. But he was just, as a tight end, he led in like 9 different metrics, 9 different like stats. He was the leading tight end for, and it was like, okay, give me that. Like, I want that. That's who I want. Like, and if you can hit a tackling dummy the way he hit it in the combine,
Yeah,
and then you look at
exactly.
all the other tight ends hit it and they can barely move it compared to him,
Mm-hmm.
no, put him on our line. Give me that RPO. Let a guy like Rashad Penny, who averages like 4 or 5 yards a clip, and Gainwell and everybody just have these monster holes behind him. Kelsey, Paris Johnson, Lane Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Mailata, like all these behemoths, and just go out there and wreck people again. Now you could bring back that 2021 version of the Eagles a little bit with running a bit more. And you could still be the pass-heavy team, depending on how our offensive coordinator wants to play it, since
Right.
our guy went and left to Indianapolis. So give me Darnell Washington for this, because I'm ready to just smash people.
You 100%. Not only are you going to smash people on offense, and then you get the King Kong on the offense to the Godzilla in Jordan Davis on the defensive side.
You were the one who convinced me on him last year. So I was like, we get the monster mashup.
You do get the monster mashup. I love that. I hope that I know that people are just gonna bitch and complain because 2 tight ends over Kincaid, and I can't let him slip out. And I know that it's also you. Yeah, I think you're being just generous, and I appreciate that.
It's your show, man.
It's not. It is not. This is ours. This is where both our names here. And this is actually, I will say this. I don't think it is the smartest move for a team if you're looking to build going forward. The defensive line for the Chiefs outside after this year, I don't think have anybody signed. So there's definite needs across the defensive line. The pass catching, we know without Juju is a little bit of a concern, but I don't think it's as big a concern because they proved last year with Juju that we didn't need 1,000-yard receiver. We got 1,000-yard tight end. And I think with Dalton Kincaid, there's a chance that 2 tight ends lead passing yards for a respective team. I don't think it happens, but good luck trying to stop, a team with that. And it makes sense for development of somebody behind however many years we have with Kelsey left.
Yeah.
Is that 3? Is it 2? Is it 5? I don't know. But I know that this, what's nice is getting Kincaid in the end of the first means we get most likely that 5th year with him to develop as that goes along. And so that wraps up the end of the first round. We can speed through the second round if you want. I figured we would just do one round.
One round's fine. I think we have held the people long enough with our, picks.
I agree. And so as a recap here, Alabama leads the top 2 picks in Bryce Young and Will Anderson. Jalen Carter gets to go pew, pew, pew in Arizona. Anthony Richardson is the new quarterback for the Colts. Tyree Wilson matches up with Miles Murphy to form the nastiest edge rushers in the draft for Seattle. Devin Witherspoon joins an already developing team in Detroit. Pete Skronsky broke your heart by going to Vegas. CJ Stroud stops his fall by stopping in Atlanta. Christian Gonzalez just kind of hopefully gets to be part of a rebuilding, if you want to call it that, Bears team. Paris Johnson solidifies an already dominant Eagles team. Will Levis. Well, sorry, Tampa. That's going to say you go from Tom Brady to Will Levis. And you know what? Actually, it's really not yet. Maybe he'll turn into something. I don't know. And then I know. Maybe we're wrong. You know what? I would be the first to say I was wrong on Justin Herbert. I didn't think Justin Herbert was going to be nearly the quarterback that he is.
I mean, look, I'm sitting on the couch Thursday night eating wings. I'm not in somebody's draft room, so they might know better than me.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah, probably not.
Scale of 1 to 10, how hot are the wings that you eat?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm like a 5 or a 6 because I have like a baby stomach.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's good. I have like a baby stomach. I'm like a barbecue guy, honestly.
Well, when you're in St. Louis, come swing by and we'll.
I will.
We'll do some, the Kansas City stuff and whatnot, and hopefully it'll be talking about both of our undefeated teams. What team might not be undefeated? Probably is Houston, but they do develop with JSN. Brian Branch, another Roll Tide, ends up in Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. We knew Lucas Van Ness was ended up in New England. That was the only foregone conclusion. And actually, my foregone conclusion was Joey Porter Jr. being in Washington as well. Broderick Jones bullies up that Jets offensive line. Deonte Banks adds secondary help to the Steelers. Our friends in Detroit solidified cornerback and wide receiver in Zay Flowers. Tennessee, I don't say shocks the NFL, but I think that it creates a little bit of buzz in Hendon Hooker. Like we said, Miles Murphy. Miami has to forfeit a pick. I think it was dumb. Quentin Johnson gets an average height of 7'3" for wide receivers now in LA. Nolan Smith adds more defensive edge. I think that's one thing Baltimore does really good is Baltimore always has a tendency to find that kind of just how did he land there? And Nolan Smith is, again, a little undersized, but definitely the best speed rusher in the draft.
Agreed.
How the hell did Buffalo get Bijan? You know,
we forced the trade.
We did. We didn't. We didn't have to force it. It was accepted. PFF. Take notes. But that, I will say, that would create huge shockwaves. The Buffalo fans would be insufferable if this happens.
The amount of tables that would be broken draft night
exactly.
would be insane.
Who makes those tables? What's the company? If that whoever that is,
they're rich. They're rich.
Yes.
Whoever they are, they're rich.
We're going to pile all of our dollars and our piggy banks together, and we're going to buy a couple stocks and shares, and then
I like it. I like it.
I would not want to be on a receiving end of an Osiris Torrance table smash in Jacksonville, or by Jack Campbell, maybe the best, all around tackling linebacker in the Giants. Brian Breezy, or we'll just say Brian, solidifies the defense in Dallas. Kalijah Cansey fills a hole left by Dalvin Tomlinson. Michael Mayer starts a tight end run towards the end of the draft to the Bengals. Steve Avila fills a hole in New Orleans, I guess. I don't know what the hell New Orleans is doing. Darnell Washington, I'm going to say, is kind of maybe would be the surprise pick of the first round. But if people will give you 5 minutes to hear your reasoning why, and they didn't know anything about any players' names or where they're supposed to go according to the mocks, it fits a not a glaring need, a need, and will make that team extremely dominant, more so than they already were. And my Chiefs take Dalton Kincaid to wrap up, and I'm going to give you a grade of A+ on this.
Thank you.
I don't know
Same with you, man.
Thanks, appreciate that. I will stop sharing this. I think I did everything right there, and and we'll take a look. I'll save this, and then we'll circle back on Thursday and see how wrong we are. What do you think? Out of 31, you think we get 9 right?
Oh man, I'm gonna give us some credit. I'm gonna say we get 13.
Holy shit, really? I take that.
I'm gonna give us 13. And it's only because you let me have the Eagles, but I didn't go Bijan because I don't think he's coming to us. I would love it, but I don't think he's coming to us. So I didn't get Wild at 10. I didn't screw us all up. So because sometimes I'll start these drafts and then I'll get real wild card with it, and some random things go down, and now all of a sudden Houston has 6 picks in the first round. I just
exactly.
It gets a little too crazy sometimes.
I know. I'm glad that it's not just me that realizes that my draft trade value was way off, because I'm like, it seems really easy. I don't like this.
That was my only concern. I was like, oh man, we're gonna do one of these shows and people are gonna realize that I just do not understand the trade capital sometimes. Right. Because if I took these trades and tried some of the things that have happened in real life, like Brandon Marshall for what was he, a fifth back then? If I tried that in Madden, the game would have shut off on me.
Exactly.
So I've given up trying to figure out that and the salary cap. I don't understand it. I'll just let it flow and see how it works.
Yeah. What's dead cap? I don't know. I have no clue. I'm 43 years old, and I'm sure they've talked about it for a very long time. And there's certain things, like I said today, I was saying that there are pieces of information that I can remember that have no relevance in life whatsoever. But a routine thing that we talk about every single year, like dead cap space.
Yep. Nothing.
In one ear, gone. Don't care. Don't need to.
Yeah.
But I will remember this conversation for a very long time, at least for the next 2 days. And then we will circle back on this, and we will, maybe this will be a routine. Maybe we'll do the same thing next year. Yeah. I would look
for sure. For sure, man. I love talking with you, and I love talking any type of sports with you, even if you beat me in certain leagues that we will not discuss.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. I get lucky every now and then. I'm lucky to be able to talk with you about this draft. And so, Joe, thank you. I really appreciate your time, man. We'll I look forward to doing this again, and we'll chit chat on Thursday. Okay.
For sure, man. Thanks for bringing me on.
You got it, buddy. Take care, man. We'll see you.
Take care.